y'all, welcome to VW Family Farm. We are going to make some tomato sauce today. Actually, my mom is. I'm going to help her out and I'm going to pick the tomatoes. What's left of them anyways. They're actually dwindling down a lot. And then she's going to teach y'all how to make some awesome tomato sauce. So that's what I got from the back garden. Now we're gonna go to the front garden.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the kitchen. I appreciate Emily getting those tomatoes picked for me. And now I am gonna show you, it's the end of the season here. I'm gonna show you one of my favorite ways to use up tomatoes here at the end of the season. I already have a lot of tomatoes canned, like diced tomatoes and things for soups and chilies and things like that. I have quite a bit of juice made, and so now the question comes, what's an easy way to use these up that is something we will still use? So that's why today I'm gonna make easy tomato sauce. I'm gonna show you guys how you can do this with really no special equipment. You need a hot water bath can this at the end, but you don't even have to have one of those. Just a big pot will do. I'm gonna try to make this as easy as possible. I don't add anything into this tomato sauce except salt, because then at the end I can turn it into whatever I want it to be. Spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce, whatever I want at the time. This is just how to make a good, basic, thick tomato sauce. So these are the tomatoes Emily just picked. I got my favorite knife here, and I've got a pot. You're gonna need all these things. I've already rinsed these a little bit, but you want to give them a good rinse, get the dirt and dust off of them, especially if you've sprayed them with anything. These have not been, so just give them a good rinse. Okay, so one reason I like to do this at the end of the season, it's super easy. It's one of the easier things to make because I don't have to scald these and get the skins off. I'm literally just going to chop these up. The best way I have found that my parents taught me to not lose very much tomato when you need to core them is like I just did, cut them in half, and then you can easily see what parts you want to cut off, and then that's all I'm losing because the rest of this is still good tomato. So you can cut it in just some big chunks. We're going to cook this down. It's going to come all to pieces. So, I mean, you don't even have to cut that if you don't want to, but you're going to have to cook it a little longer if you don't. Of course, if you've got some with like some bad spots like this, you want to trim all of that off. You don't want that in there. Okay, so a really important thing at this point is start them on low. You can see these have been sitting here for a bit. I did that earlier where I chopped them up. So they've made quite a bit of juice, but if you go straight from chopping them to the stove, you're not going to have as much juice. Start on low or they will stick or scorch. You can actually even add a little bit of water, just a tiny bit to get these started. That's just more water you've got to cook off later, so keep that in mind. Or you can just stay close by and keep them stirred really good. So you can see it's only been cooking about 10 minutes. And it's already really juiced up. You're just gonna let this cook down for a while so that all those tomatoes get cooked up really well. All right, so we have cooked the tomatoes down for a while. I just let them simmer on low. Let me show you them. So you can see they have cooked down. All the skins are curled up. There's seeds all in it. It's really juicy and cooked down. That's what you're looking for. You can let it go a little longer. It's not going to hurt anything. Probably could have stopped a little sooner. So just put this on when you're doing other stuff in the kitchen and just keep an eye on it. Okay, for this next part, we're going to have to do something to get rid of the skins and the seeds. I've seen recipes, and I've actually tried it myself, where you take an immersion blender and you blend all that's in the pot up, and it makes it instantly fairly thick because you've blended in all those seeds and all that pulp and skins and everything. That's fine. It tasted okay. It wasn't my favorite ever, but it also has all those skins and seeds still in there. So if you have digestive issues, that could irritate you potentially. So after that, I decided I'm going to try it. Doing it, it's a little bit more work, but getting all that out and then cooking it down till it's thick. So I'm going to use this today. This is what my family has always called a juicer. It's got this wooden stopper thing that you roll around and it gets the pulp out. These are pretty much antique these days. I'm sure you can find them online, and I'll try and see if I can find one and link it below. But you can also find them at all kinds of secondhand stores. I've seen them so many times at yard sales, flea markets, things like that, for fairly inexpensive. This is an off-grid, old-fashioned tool to have in your kitchen. If you don't have this, you actually could do this with just like some cheesecloth or even a little bit thicker butter muslin and line like a colander with it and then pour it all in there. You'd have to let it cool just a bit so you can handle it and squeeze all that pulp out while catching the seeds and skins. But so there's you a couple options. I'm going to be using this today, and our next step is most people have a crock pot. So I'm going to be using a crock pot to cook this down. That way I don't have to stand over it. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this down in my crock pot, and that way when I run it through, it will already be down in the crock pot. And I'm going to turn the crock pot on to low. Then when you roll this wooden stopper, it pushes the juice out, and you'll start seeing pulp come out down here on the sides of this juicer. That's good. We want all that pulp. The only thing we want left is seeds and skins. So you can see after I've ran it through for just a few seconds that all that's pretty much left in there is skin and seeds. So you're going to discard that, whether that's into your compost or whether you're going to do something else with that, another recipe. You're going to get that out of there, and you're just going to keep running it through till you got it all run through there. All right, so it's in the crock pot. You can see it's pretty much as thin as water right now. I just want you to see the difference after we cook it down for a while. I'm going to leave this on low. I prefer to use the crock pot just because I can walk away and not have to stand here and babysit it. And I'm actually going to leave this on all night. And so you're going to notice the line in the morning when I show you. There's going to be a line where this started and where it's gone down to. I'm leaving the lid off because I want that moisture to escape. I want it to cook down and thicken. You could put your lid on if you wanted to and just caulk it a little bit because you don't want to trap that moisture in there. You're trying to cook it off. So we'll see what it's like tomorrow. I let this cook on low all night long, and you can see how much it's reduced. It's reduced by half at least, and it's still not super thick. This is not going to turn into tomato paste right away, but it's more like tomato sauce. You can see it's not near as watery as it was. It's a lot thicker. It's got a lot more pulp in it, and so that's as far as I'm going to go with this. And now I'm going to can it. You could definitely cook it down further, but I'm actually going to stop there because I can cook it down further if I want it thicker in a recipe. And a lot of things I use tomato sauce for, it doesn't have to be super, super thick. I'll use it in meatloafs and baked beans and all kinds of things like that. But that's just a judgment call. You can cook it down and get it as thick as you'd like. So the next step is you need just a plain old pot. Doesn't have to be a canner. This is just a pot I have that I make all kinds of stuff in. It's not even really that big, but for the amount of this sauce, I'm not going to drag out the big canner. So you need to get this filling with water. So while you're jarring up your sauce, your water can go ahead and be heating in your canner. Now, let me make a little disclaimer. Hot water bath canners usually come with some sort of a rack to go down in them to keep the jars off the direct bottom of your pan. They say that that will keep your jars from breaking as easily. I don't seem to have a problem, so I'm not using any kind of a rack. I've actually seen my mom actually put an old dish towel down in there and put the jars on top of the dish towel in the water But you do whatever you think. I'm just telling you the exact recommendations, but I just go ahead and put them directly down in the pot. All right, so I am turning this up on high to get it going, because you can't start your time on a hot water bath canner until you're at a full rolling boil. So you might as well get it started heating while you're jarring it up. So I've got a lot of tomato sauce canned in pints for the winter. I'll use that from everything from just a normal size meatloaf to a pan of baked beans, all kinds of stuff I use it for. But then I also make a lot of stuff that I need a bigger quantity. So this round, I'm going to put these in quarts. It's probably not going to wind up being but like maybe a couple, 2 or 3 quarts, but that's okay. I use those in things like homemade sloppy joes and spaghetti sauce and things like that. So I'm doing a few bigger jars today. But if maybe you don't cook in large quantities, or it's just you, or you just want some really small jars, you can can in as small of jars as you want to. Half pints or just jelly jars, anything like that will work. So for these quart jars, I'm going to put a teaspoon of salt. If you're using pints, go down to half a teaspoon, and then just adjust accordingly depending on what size jar you're using. I had just a little left, so I'm going to use this little half pint jelly jar. So I'm only going to use a quarter of a teaspoon of salt in it. Of course, wipe your rims off before you put your lids on. And if you need more canning info, check out last year's green bean canning video where I go through all the basics. I'll link that below. Get your lids on and then put your rings on. I do them to hand tight. I don't over tighten. So obviously you are jarring up hot sauce and you're lowering it into boiling water, so you want to do this very carefully. It's fine to do this. It's not going to break your jars because you're putting something hot down into hot water. If you'd had it in the fridge or something for some reason, don't put it directly down in boiling water. You'll break your jars. That cold and hot meeting is not a good combo. So just do this very carefully. Put your lid on, and when that comes to a full rolling boil, we want to time quarts 40 minutes, pints 35 minutes, and that little half pint I'll take out sooner than that. And that is it. That's as easy as it is to make tomato sauce with no special ingredients, things you probably already have, or I hope I've given you some tips. If you don't have like the old-timey juicer like I was showing, use a piece of cheesecloth or butter muslin or something like that. Line a colander with it. Pour all your stuff in it, and then as it cools, mash it through as you're able to handle it. That will work too. When your time is up on your canner, turn it off and wait 5 minutes, and then take them out of the hot water. They will suck down on there as they cool and seal, and you are good to go. You're ready for all kinds of yummy winter recipes. So thanks for watching. Like I said, if you need help on basics of canning, there's a kitchen playlist, and I'm going to have Lane link that green bean video down below. I tried to go through all the basics in that video. Hope it helps you out. Subscribe if you haven't. We'd love to have you stick around. Join us live on Tuesday nights at 7. We're going to try to start doing that and chatting with you guys as the farm allows. And that's 7 Central Time. So we hope to see you there, and we hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. God bless.